Hi, this is AJ,
And I'm Amber.
and you're listening to The Deep Dive from Precision Assess.
Yeah, welcome.
Today, we're jumping into something really critical. We're talking about adult family homes here in Washington State.
Specifically, what caregivers actually need to have, legally to
Right.
work in these homes.
Right. This is super important for, well, for everyone involved. AFH owners, the caregivers themselves.
Absolutely. Getting this right means residents are safer, they get better care, and honestly, it keeps everyone compliant with the law.
Okay, so let's dig in. It's not just a suggestion, right? Having the right credentials in Washington, it's mandatory.
Oh, absolutely mandatory. It's the law. Think of it this way. Proper training is like the bedrock.
The foundation for good care.
Exactly. It ensures caregivers have at least a baseline understanding of how to keep residents safe, how to help them effectively. It protects everyone.
And I imagine that gives families peace of mind, too.
Huge peace of mind. For families, for the providers running the homes, knowing the staff is properly trained makes a world of difference.
Okay, so what's the main certification someone needs to get started?
The big one is a 75-hour home care aide certification. You'll hear it called HCA.
HCA, got it. And what does that cover? The 75 hours.
It covers the essentials: orientation, safety procedures, basic care skills, how to help with daily living activities, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, I've heard people mention CNAs, certified nursing assistants. What if someone already has that? Do they still need the full 75-hour HCA thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Comes up a lot. If you're already a CNA, you might be exempt from parts or maybe even all of that HCA training.
I guess there's overlap.
Exactly. The CNA training covers a lot of the same ground, so it's definitely worth checking if someone has that credential already. Saves time.
Makes sense. Now, adult family homes often care for residents with really specific needs, like maybe dementia or mental health challenges.
Yeah.
Is there extra training required for that?
Yes, absolutely. And this is really important. If caregivers are working with residents who have dementia or diagnosed mental health conditions, there's an additional requirement.
More hours.
Yep. 30 hours of specialized training. It breaks down usually 8 hours specifically on dementia, 8 hours on mental health, and then 4 hours on related topics that kind of tie things together.
Wow, 30 extra hours. That shows how specialized that care needs to be.
It really does. You need specific skills, specific understanding to provide the best support in those situations.
Okay, so we have the HCA, potentially CNA, and the specialized dementia mental health training.
Yeah.
What else? Are there other, universal requirements?
Definitely. CPR and first aid. Every caregiver needs to be certified.
And keep it current, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. These aren't one-time things. They have to be kept up to date because, well, you hope you never need it, but if you do.
You need to know what you're doing.
Right.
What about food? If caregivers are making meals or serving food.
Good point. If their duties include preparing or serving food, they also need a valid food handler's permit. Basic food safety.
Okay, HCA, maybe CNA, specialty training, CPR first aid, food handler's permit.
Yeah.
That's quite a list.
It is. And there's one more really critical piece.
Which is,
the background check. Everyone has to pass a background check through DSHS, the Department of Social and Health Services.
before they can even start working with residents.
Before day one, it's a mandatory screening to work with vulnerable adults. Non-negotiable.
Okay, so that covers getting started. What about keeping these things current? Is the HCA license like a lifetime thing?
No, definitely not. The home care aid license has to be renewed
How often?
every single year.
Annually. And how do they renew? Is it just paperwork?
It involves continuing education. Caregivers need to complete 12 hours of CE, continuing education, each year to qualify for renewal.
So they're always learning, staying updated.
That's the idea. Best practices change, regulations evolve, so the CE helps keep them current.
What about the dementia and mental health specialty training? Do those 30 hours need annual renewal too?
No, the specialty credentials themselves don't have that same annual renewal requirement like the main HCA license.
Oh, okay.
But, and this is important, you absolutely must keep thorough records proving that training was completed.
Gotcha. So keep the certificates, the documentation.
Exactly. And even though it's not required for renewal, encouraging ongoing learning in those specialty areas is, always best practice.
This sounds like a lot for an AFH owner to manage. Tracking expiration dates, CE hours, training records for multiple staff members. Any tips for them?
Oh, it can definitely feel overwhelming. Organization is absolutely
Got that
key.
for a spreadsheet or something.
Yeah, something like that. A central system is really the best approach. A spreadsheet, a database, whatever works for the home. Track every credential, every training date, every expiration date for every caregiver.
Kind of like a compliance dashboard.
Precisely. It helps you stay ahead of renewals, make sure nobody falls out of compliance, and honestly, it makes audits way less stressful. It's proactive.
Okay, so let's shift gears slightly.
Yeah.
A caregiver has all the right papers, they're certified, background checked. What are they actually allowed to do? What's their scope of practice?
That's a critical question. Understanding scope of practice is vital. It basically defines the boundaries, what tasks a caregiver is legally allowed to perform in Washington.
Can you give some examples? What's clearly in?
Sure. Helping residents with activities of daily living, dressing, bathing, eating, mobility, that's core caregiver work.
Okay.
They can also, monitor vital signs, temperature, pulse, respiration, providing companionship, helping with personal hygiene, light housekeeping related to the resident.
Standard care tasks. What about things that feel a bit more medical, like giving out medications?
Right, that's where things get more specific. Caregivers cannot administer medications on their own authority.
So they can't just hand out pills.
Right, not unless a specific process called nurse delegation has occurred.
Nurse delegation. Okay, what is that exact?
It's a formal process where a registered nurse assesses the resident, determines a specific task, like administering a certain medication or giving an insulin shot, is appropriate, and then specifically trains and delegates that task to a qualified caregiver for that specific resident.
So the nurse authorizes it, trains them, and oversees it.
Essentially, yes. The nurse delegates the task, but retains responsibility for the decision. The caregiver has to be properly trained for that specific task by the nurse.
So a caregiver can't just say, oh, I know how to give this med, I'll do it.
Absolutely not. That's practicing outside their scope. And doing tasks you're not trained or certified or delegated to do, well, it can have really serious consequences.
Like legal trouble, health risks for the resident.
Both. Significant legal liability for the caregiver and the home, and potentially very serious harm to the resident. It's just not worth the risk.
So what's a simple takeaway for a caregiver? How do they stay on the right side of that line?
It boils down to this. Always ask yourself, am I trained, certified, and, if necessary, delegated to do this specific task?
And if there's any doubt?
Ask. Ask your supervisor, ask the delegating nurse, ask the AFH owner. Never assume. It's always, always better to clarify than to guess and potentially cause harm.
That's really solid advice. When in doubt, ask.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly clarifying. It really highlights just how crucial having the right credentials and understanding your scope of practice is. It's about safety. It's about trust.
It really is. For caregivers, it's about professionalism and responsibility. Keep your skills sharp, keep your documents current.
And for the AFH owners listening,
It's about diligence, ensuring your team is properly credentialed, properly trained, and, importantly, supported, creating that culture of compliance and safety.
and I know this can seem like a complex area to navigate. If owners are feeling, a bit unsure, just want a second pair of eyes on things, Precision Assess can step in, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is exactly what we do at Precision Assess. We help adult family homes stay on top of these regulations.
How so?
We can assist with things like verifying all those caregiver qualifications we talked about, conducting the nurse delegations properly, and just providing general consultation on compliance and best practices.
So helping homes run smoothly and safely.
That's the goal. We want to simplify this side of things so owners and caregivers can focus on providing excellent care to their residents.
Great. So final word, if you're an AFH owner in Washington and you need help making sure your caregiver qualifications are in order, or you need assistance setting up or managing nurse delegations.
Please reach out to us at Precision Assess. We're here to help you navigate it all.